Hello there. I'm Kios the Ronin Beatmaker, and welcome to a Ronin review. And on this episode, we're going to discuss Monkey Man. I saw this movie Saturday evening, and I'm gonna have to say, for me personally, this is probably the best movie of 2024. Now, I know some people may say that I know some people may say that Dune 2 might take the cake. But for me personally, I will have to say that uh, Monkey Man, it just did it for me. Monkey Man just did it for me. Visually, it was beautifully crafted. The cinematography was incredible and really aided in telling the story. Honestly, the cinematography itself was a character. The acting was superb. Uh, Dave Patel kills it. Um, he absolutely kills it with his, directional debut. Um, and he, and written it. Uh, this it. Um, the soundtrack was dope. The soundtrack was dope. Oh man, it went so well with this film. Honestly, I would go and watch this film in the movie theater again. Um, that's how much I enjoyed this film. Like there are times in the movie theater where I was cussing, like, yes, get him. Oh my God, it was brutal, absolutely brutal. I mean, going into this film, I heard that they filmed a lot of it on iPhones. He had broken a couple bones. He got an eye infection filming this. Um, Dave Patel, um, he he put his heart and soul into this film, and I think he even said that he made this film the way it is because we deserve films like this. We being the audience, and you're not hearing a lot of actors saying things like that nowadays. You're not hearing a lot of creators saying things like that nowadays. They're too self-absorbed in their egos and in their little bubbles. Um, but not with this story. Oh man, I can't stop. I have not been able to stop thinking about it over the weekend. And another thing about it for me personally, I'm gonna be doing a bit of a deep dive into this film because I really loved it. Uh, the film just automatically hooks you right in. There's no there's no slow start. This film, it kicks off and it goes, and it gets right into the story. With a brutal fight in an underground club. It the story of our young character, the Monkey Man, um, Humana, who uh, who essentially he is inspired by this Hindu mythological hero. Um, and so, you have this folklore um, intertwined into the story of revenge, and it takes on this whole nother meaning. And, what's captivating for me about it is that you don't get films this, like, we're not getting original films, we're not getting original ideas and concepts, and concepts that really challenge us as viewers, and in a very social political manner that really takes a whole form of its own, and using this folklore story to use and encompass also various ancient Hindu religious figures and practices. It takes on this whole new meaning. And let me tell you, this film is going to get very controversial with the red whites. There are going to be certain people in the entertainment YouTube sphere that, upon viewing this film, they're going to get triggered. Because, as you know, right now, we are literally in a cultural Marxist um, war. And, you have those in who are trying to fight this war in the pop culture, who are slowly becoming the very enemy they are uh, seeking to destroy. But I digress. This film just captivated me. It's so beautiful. And, and there is definitely some humor into it. The humor is appropriate. What's This film feels very real and very raw. Something that you could almost imagine happening. One thing that I thoroughly enjoy about this film is that it feels like something that could totally and actually happen. Give me one moment, guys. What I mean by that, it can feel like something that could actually happen is the political and social aspects of it. And Dave Patel, he does a really good job of incorporating into this film. I know that some people had a problem in terms of distribution of it, is because of the way it portrays India, and it does not portray India in the best of lights, uh, but it's not it paints India in the true colors of how people of India view their country and the politics of their country. And I know that that was an issue with getting this film to be released, but we got to thank um, Jordan Peele, in that after viewing this film, he was like, "We got to get this out." And I believe he has a deal with Universal, or I'm not sure who. I could be wrong, but he got this film to be in the theaters, and I'm really happy that it was, because it needed to be in the theaters. This was a story that needed to be told on the big screen and needed to be viewed on the big screen. And Dave Patel, he does a really good job of incorporating. He doesn't shy away from showing the slums of India. He doesn't shy away from showing the caste system within India, and his main character. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna call him Humanu, because it's very fitting. Humanu, him living in the gutters of India, and using his street smarts, his knowledge of growing up on the streets, that allows him the ability to infiltrate um, and initiate his revenge. And they do a really good job of showing that. It's very fun. It kind of reminds me of just like very fun and cool with, and a very smart way of how he gets his foot into the door and begins his revenge. It's really, really smart, very crafty, and he uses a personal injury as a way of convincing um, one of the villains. I'll say into working for her. And when we meet her, holy crap, is this chick? This actress did a phenomenal job. Like everyone did a phenomenal job in this film. Everyone, the actors and the actresses, they killed it. They did a phenomenal job, even for the minor roles. I don't. It's crazy to get films where like, and I love international films. All right, some of my favorite films are the Zatoichi films from the 1960s and 70s. I'm a big fan of international films. You know, I love martial art films. I love action films. I love action thrillers. And I love a good revenge story. I'll be honest with you. And this film does such a great job of just encapsulating all of those ideas. And, you know, this woman who plays one of the villains, like, she just kills it. Every scene that she's in, like, you are intimidated by this woman, you're turned on by her because she is fine as hell, and you hate her at the exact same time. And the way he he uses this personal injury as a way to get himself in, it's very like you can feel the determination that he has. Like the level of detail into this plan is very well thought out, and you see that they display that Humano, he's not an idiot. He's not stupid. He's not naive. Well, I mean, he is a bit naive, um, and you get a glimpse of that because this movie also does a really good job of exploring the sex trafficking and the sex trafficking and human trafficking that goes on in these upper echelons of the elites and the oligarchs, and they do not shy away from showing that and displaying that in all of its totality. Something that I was not expecting to be seeing nowadays because, after what's that film with Jim Caviezel with the where he's saving the children. It's gonna bug me until I get it. What's it called? This is gonna bug me until I get it down. Sound of Freedom, yeah, with the child trafficking. And they do a really good job of exploring that, and a character who kind of eventually becomes his friend, kind of guides him and walks him through it because of the employment that Humanu has. It's very brilliant. It really gets in there and it doesn't shy away. And there are some pretty intense, you know, sexual scenes, but you don't really, you see a little bit, but not a lot. But the way they do it, you can feel the energy and you can feel the level of abuse, and how uncomfortable it seems to be. It's really, really interesting how one of the actresses who plays one of the concubine workers, uh, she does a really good job of kind of displaying this woman who's just caught in this cycle of fear and regret and survival. And Humanu, has this moment of severe, severe anxiety and like a panic attack that's just riddled with PTSD, and seeing this woman in this like very, sexually vulnerable and exploitative situation, he just can't handle it. And you get nervous because you're thinking like, is he about to smash this dude's, skull in? What is about to happen? And Dave Patel, he just this incredible job of just showing this man having this severe anxiety and panic attack, and coupled with this dog that approaches him. And shout out to that dog. There are so many little references in this film to like really great action films of the past. This with the little dog. It's obviously a little reference to John Wick. Don't worry, nothing happens to the dog. But even the dog has a bit of a little hero's journey of its own in the film. And God, man, I love this film. I'm sorry, this is my favorite film of the year. Everyone has their own preference and their choices, and I respect that. But for me, this film killed it, and I loved Dune 2. But I'm sorry, but the third act, the second half of the third act, really was disappointing for me. And if you catch my review, I don't want to get off topic, but catch my review on it if you're interested. But he just does this incredible job, and then like the sequence leading up to him getting finally prepared to act out his vengeance is, oh man, it's smart, it's intense, it's witty, and I don't want to spoil anything because, like I said, I love this film. It's incredible. And I might talk about certain fight scenes and little details in those fight scenes, and certain character moments and things like that, but nothing that will really spoil it for anyone, because I want people to go in there and just enjoy the ride that this film has to offer. But his revenge, it just doesn't go as planned. It never goes according to plan. We all know that. And that whole sequence, oh my gosh, oh man, it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then man, okay, all right, we're gonna get some to a spoiler area now, because we're gonna get into the second half of the film. I pretty much kind of cover the beginning of the film, um, without kind of spoiling things, because, like I said, we get to his for his revenge, to activate his revenge plan. It does not go according to plan at all. But let me tell you, that sequence of events afterwards is phenomenal. Oh my god. When you watch this film, you can't believe that it was shot on iPhones. You won't believe it. But you just won't believe it. Oh my gosh. And even the scenes where he's fighting in the underground fight club are really, really beautifully. The choreography is really, really done well in this film. You don't get a lot of good choreography. There are no crazy cuts. Every fight scene is very fluid. Every fight scene, it tells a story. It adds to the story of the film, and all the landmarks. They're a character. They're a character of itself. He makes the city a character, and he does it in a very beautiful way where it feels very natural. Oh my gosh, really, really well done. But we're gonna get into the second half, and this is gonna be the spoiler part. We're gonna get into spoilers. Let me get a cup. Let me get something to take a quick little sip here, and then we're gonna get into spoilers. So if you are not ready for the spoilers. Then, after I'm done taking my sip of my drink, get out of here. If not, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And here we go, down to spoilers. So, our boy gets shot and lands in the river. And he gets picked up by a religious group. I didn't even realize it when I first was watching it, but then you realize when the what's a good way of this of giving him his title? Like the head monk of this religious sect, they find him and they tend to his wounds. They take the bullet out of him, um, and they kind of you find out that he's at this ancient temple of the I'm gonna butcher this, but we're gonna do a bit of a deep dive. The Ard Han Narishavar, and you are then introduced to um, a trans community, which was completely unexpected, but completely fascinating and awesome and incredible. Now, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive because I know a lot of people are going to get really turned off right now when they hear about this. They're like, oh, what? Um, there are transgender people in this film. What's going on? Are they pushing an agenda? And it's like, no, 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 no. It's not like that. And this is what I mean, where this is going to trigger some of the red whites in the pop culture sphere because they're going to see this and they're gonna just immediately jump to their go-to talking points. But we're gonna do a bit of a deep dive here at Ronin Art and Music and Ronin Reviews. We will tend to do a bit of deep dives when it's necessary. And because I love this film so damn much, we're going to do a very deep dive. So here we go. Alrighty. The Ard Han Narishavar is a male female figure of Hindu god Shiva, together with his consort Parvati. As seen in many Indian and Southeast Asian sculptures, the right male half of the figure is adorned with traditional ornaments uh, of Shiva. Half of the hair is piled in headdress or matted locks. Half of the third eye is visible on the forehead. A tiger skin covers the loins, and serpents are used as ornaments. The left female half shows hair well combed and knotted, half of a tilak, a round dot. On the forehead, the eye outlined in black, a well developed breast, a silk garment caught with girdles, an anklet, and the foot tainted red with henna. The symbolic intent of the figure, according to most authorities, is to signify that the male and female principles are inseparable. A predecessor Ardhanarishvar appears in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which states that the first creature was the same size and kind as a man and woman, closely embracing. He caused himself to fall into two pieces, and and from him a husband and wife were born. A popular explanation of the Shivite form of this figure, as given in the collection of legends known as the Shiva Purana, is that God Brahma created male beings and instructed them in turn to create others, but they were unable to do so. When Shiva appeared before him in androgynous form, Brahma realized his omission and created females. Yet another legend has it that the sage Rishi Baringi had vowed to worship only one deity, so failed to circumambulate and prostrate himself before Praviti. Praviti tried to force him to do so by asking Shiva to unite with her in one form. However, the sage assumed the form of a beetle, pierced a path through the middle of the Agni, and continued to circumambulate only the male half. Parvati at the first cursed Parvati to become nothing but a skeleton. In classical Hindu embryology, the father gives a child only the bones in Sune, while the mother gives the blood in flesh. But eventually they were reconciled and she blessed them. Now, this is a bit of a westernization of this, um, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an understanding before we do another deep dive into this. But you see, this is presented in the film, and to be honest with you, I didn't even realize that they were transgender until another one of the um the well, excuse me, we're talking warriors, so I'm gonna be on. They're warrior monks. Um, they're warrior monks, and then another one comes in and like this is a linebacker with tatas. So comes in and it does some work on a punching bag. So it's really interesting, and I love it. Like you're just so kind of like, wait, what? And like when I was watching it, and like you see the statue of and it's like, oh wow, this is something legit. And I was like, as I was watching the film, I'm like, I am definitely going to do a little research on this for the review. And there's a scene while he's there at the temple where he kind of begins training again, and there's a musician there, and this drummer, and he starts creating this rhythm, and then Humanu starts using that rhythm for boxing, and he's just pow 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 boxing, and the rhythm, and oh man, it was a really dope training sequence, really dope. But I'm actually jumping ahead. Did we? Yeah, I'm jumping. No, no, I'm not. Am I? I don't think so. No, not yet. Maybe. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. I love this film. Anyways, so there's another scene that's really important, right? And he speaks with the head monk, and he's telling him like, man, um, I know you're going through a lot. I was just like you. And he's like, here you take this root, and what he said something really dope. He was like, for I forgot what he's like. For like a weak man, it will either kill you or survive, or I think it was like, for a weak man, it will kill you. For a strong man, it will like revive you. Something like that. It was really really dope. And he takes it. He has to inhale it, and he just goes through this metamorphosis of like opening up his trauma, and fully embracing what truly happened to him as a child. And you see it, and it is brutal, it is horrible, um but it's something that, you know if you are someone who's a bit of bit of a aware of the geopolitical politics of our world, then you're no shy to eminent domain. And this form of eminent domain came at the cusps of murdering women and children and old men. It was crazy. And in his scene with his mom, and just being beaten and choked, half dead, and then burned alive. and him running down there and trying to put out the fire with his hands, and getting these, second degree burns underneath his hands. It was absolutely horrendous and brutal. And he awakens from it, um, clear. And, the monk explains to him, you have to embrace this. You are a warrior, and it's time for you to fight for what you have been running from. And there's this incredible scene early on in the film where um, he's in the fighting ring, and he gets paid to throw fights, essentially. And he's fighting, and he sees his mom in the crowd, and he tells the guy, hit me, hit me, hit me. And the guy just starts wailing on him, just beating him and beating him and beating him. And you see his mom go from a smile to just kind of disappointed and kind of fading away. And it was him just kind of running away from it, running away from his mom, running away from that trauma, and getting it beaten into submission, into his memories, away from his consciousness. And when he awakens after taking the poison, it's like a whole new man has awoken inside him. It's absolutely incredible. And that sequence of him taking the poison and, becoming whole again, it's absolutely incredible. And like I was saying, like the head monk, he explains to him like how, we were warriors before we were driven out of the jungles and into the city. And we are the masculine and feminine, both of Shiva and Parvati. It's really, really beautiful. And they are, whew, let me tell you, they are a force to be reckoned with. But before we get more into that, because, excuse me, I don't want to spoil too much stuff, right? Because well, actually, I already said the spoiler part. But anyways, uh, I want to get dive a little bit more into learning more about this religious sect, because they end up playing an important part in the finale. And let's just cover them a little bit more, and then we'll finish up with the finale, and we'll wrap up from there. Okay. Here we what? Ah, damn it! I gotta get the. Let me go get it again. Apologize. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, let's do it. All right. Ardhanar Rishvavar. Oh my god. Yeah, I apologize. I am apologizing. When the ultimate man became half woman. Of the numerous forms of Shiva, Adhar Rishavar is probably the most unique. We look at the myth, science, and reality behind the symbolism and explain why Shiva is depicted this way. Sadhguru. Generally, Shiva is referred to as the ultimate man. He is the symbolism of ultimate masculinity. But you will see, uh, in the form of Shiva, one half of him is fully developed woman. Let me tell you the story of what happened. Shiva was an ecstatic condition of a ecstatic condition, and because of that, Pravita was drawn to him. After Pravita did many things to woo him and sought all kinds of help, they got married. Once they were married, naturally Shiva wanted to share whatever was his experience. Parvita said, "This state that you are in with yourself, I want to experience it too. What should I do?" Tell me, I am willing to do any kind of austerity. Shiva smiled and said, there is no need for you to do any great austerity. You just come and sit on my lap. Parvita came and, with absolutely no resistance towards him, sat on his left lap. Since she was so willing, since she had placed herself totally in his hands, he just pulled her in and became half of him. You need to understand, if he has to accommodate her in his own body, he has to shed half of himself. So he shed half of himself and included her. This is the story of Adhar Narishava. This is basically trying to manifest that the masculine and feminine are equally divided within yourself. And when he included her, he became ecstatic. What is being said that if the inner masculine and feminine meet, you are in a perpetual state of ecstasy. You try to do it on the outside. It never lasts. And all the troubles that come with that are an ongoing drama. Full-fledged man and woman. Essentially, it is not two people longing to meet. It is two dimensions of a life longing to meet, outside as well as inside. If you achieve it inside, the outside will happen 100% by choice. If you do not achieve it inside, the outside will be a terrible compulsion. This is the way of life. This is a reality which is being expressed in a beautiful dialectic form. Shiva included her as a part of himself and became half a woman, half man. This is a symbolism to show that if you evolve in your ultimate context, you will be half a man and half a woman, not a neuter, a full-fledged man and full-fledged woman. This is when you are a full-blown human being. You are not skewed development. You are just masculine or feminine. You've allowed both these things to grow. Masculine and feminine does not mean male and female. The feminine and the masculine are certain qualities. Only when these two qualities happen in balance within can a human being live a life of fulfillment. Purusha and Prakriti. If you look at the story of Adhar Narishvar as a symbolism of creation, then these two dimensions, Shiva and Praviti, or Shiva and Shakti, are known as Purusha and Prakriti. The word Purusha is totally commonly understood as man, but that is not what it means. Prakriti means nature or creation. Parush is that which is the source of creation. The source of creation was there, creation happened, and it fit perfectly well into the source of creation. What is referred to as the Purusha is the cause, the main induction which sets things going. When the existence was primordial, when it was not in a state of creation, what caused it to snap up and suddenly become creation is referred to as Purusha. Whether a human being is born, or an ant is born, or a cosmos is born, it is happening the same way. In terms of human understanding, it is referred to as male or masculine. This film does a really beautiful job of exploring that concept. Humanu is a character who is denying his emotions. He is denying the feminine side of who he is as an individual. Because as we know, women are very emotional, and men are emotional as well, but we tend to restrain, reframe, and suppress our emotions. And you see that very clearly in Humanu in the way he carries himself, unwilling to open up until he takes this poison. And in the sequence of him awakening, you do see this story of creation in and of itself. You see this evolution of a new person dying and being reborn, embracing both sides of who he is as a human being. And this is what's beautiful and may go over the heads of some, but those few will understand. And Humanu embraces this ideology of being an individual within the masculine, but also embracing the feminine, because they are two sides of one coin. And the community and who practices this religion, they guide him in understanding this. In no way and form is it any type of weird ideology or any of that nonsense that people will be yammering on about like libs of TikTok and what have you. This is dealing with a very more deep rooted meaning of life, something that's ancient and old and primordial, as they said, that most people in humanity don't tend to embrace. But this film and Dave Patel does a wonderful job of embracing that ancestry of his life, of embracing his culture, his origins, and the various religions. They acknowledge in some of the scenes, there's a great scene in the Fight Club where, like, some of you are Muslims, some of you are Hindus, and maybe some of you hiding out there are Christians, and everyone starts booing. But it kind of points at this whole idea of unification yet division. And Humanu really does a good way of being the villain of this community of the underworld to becoming the hero of the underworld, and so to speak. It's really beautiful, because there is a moment in the last Fight Club scene where one of the people in the crowd, goes, "Hail to the king! Hail to the hero!" And it's clear that man knows the story of Humanu, and is kind of like, "I know who you are. I know who you are." It's a wonderful scene where he kind of becomes Humanu. Beforehand he was the Monkey Man, but then he becomes Humanu after his awakening, and it's beautiful. And let me tell you, when he goes back for his revenge, holy shit, man! Oh my god, it was so brutal and intense. There's a scene where he makes his own fireworks, and he just comes into the VIP club just shooting fireworks at people. And there's a scene where he takes down a security guard, and he has a firework lit. He shoves it in the dude's mouth, and it just explodes in the man's mouth. Oh my gosh, the fight scenes were brutal. Man, brutal. He was just killing people left and right, and oh man, it was so sick. And then, like, the elevators open, and just like, I would say like 20 dudes come out of the elevators, and he's just like, oh man. And then all of a sudden the practitioners of Ardhana Narishnavar, they come out dressed in these traditional garments with sickle blades and machetes, and oh, they just go to town. It is the most beautiful fight sequence ever. Just awesome brutality. Oh my gosh. Oh man. And then the fight scene with the police chief um, is, oh man, it's so awesome. You know, with the police chief, now, that's the guy who, you know, who beat his mother and burned her alive. And they use there's these like old like 1960s, like, you know, those hanging beads, but they're like these plastic circles, and they like are glass, I'm not sure, and there's like reflections on them, and you see some of the fight scenes through the reflections. And let me tell you, that fight scene with the police chief, every fight scene in this movie is absolutely brutal and intense. And that fight scene, oh my gosh, yo. And like, we're holding out on the main villain, and the main villain um is a spiritual leader, um and he is responsible for the massacre of Humanu's village to build his temple, his spiritual temple. And you learn through, the scenes with him. And let me tell you, the scenes with him are intense, especially when he's like doing yoga, and like you're learning about how cruel of a man he really is. Oh man, he that actor does a phenomenal job as well as playing the man in the chair, the man at the top of the top of the food chain. Really, really great, absolutely phenomenal. And what's so cool about the fight scenes is that, like, they're very, very brutal, but in the sense of just raw. Like, it's like watching The Raid. Honestly, some of the fight scenes remind me of like watching The Raid. And there's one fight scene in the club, in the underground fight club, where he does a fight where he does a kick that reminds me of the movie Bak. If you ever seen it, highly recommend it. One of the best martial art films ever created. I love that film. Man, maybe one day I'll do a review about it. Who knows? I'll think about it. But this film is just, oh my god, that the fight scene with the police chief, and then with the spiritual leader, that shit was intense and just brutal. Ooh. Oh, you remember that crazy the crazy chick I was telling you about, that crazy villain? There's a scene with her where she comes out of nowhere with a gun, and she starts killing some of the warriors, and then she starts gunning for Hermanu, and he ducks, and she just keeps on going at him with a gun, and he's just like dead to her rights. And then, one of the sex workers, who he kind of develops a relationship with, nothing sexual, just a bit of a bond. She comes out of nowhere and smashes this woman's head in, with a silver tray. I mean, smashed her head in so hard, blood was all over her face. It was crazy. And then he comes over, grabs the tray. He grabs the tray out of her hand, takes it, and uses it to slice this woman's thumb off. I was like, God damn. Oh, my sweet baby Jesus. Oh, my Lord. Oh. This film was incredible. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. And I think I have gone on long enough. But this is a beautiful film. And honestly, everyone out there, don't fall for any of the grifting or the triggering about this film. Yes, there's some transgender people in it, but these are some badass motherfuckers. I'm sorry. I try not to swear, but holy shit, is this it's really well crafted. And actually, no, we're gonna go some more anyways, because I gotta talk a little bit about the politics of it. You know, this film does a really good job of highlighting the religious political situation that's going on in India. With the Muslims and the Hindus, and even with the smaller groups, whether it's the transgender movement or the lower class, the poor people. Dave Patel does a really good job of highlighting all of these things in a way where it feels very natural, doesn't feel forced, and it feels part of the story. It feels like a character. He's not only is he telling an incredible action revenge thriller, but he's telling a story about, this is what it looks like in India. These are the situations that are the problems that we are dealing with, but these problems are being found everywhere. And some people are going to take an issue with that because, in an interview, he was talking about how this film is about the underdogs of all of our society, and you're going to think, oh well, he's just here trying to showboat for the trans community and movement. Like, no, man, he's talking about the underdogs, the people that no one talks about, pays attention to, um, and you see that in the film. They highlight the regular poor people, the untouchables. They highlight those people. It's really beautiful. He does a really good job of making sure that you are left thinking about, how awesome this film was. But a lot of the social, religious, and political, and cultural, um, themes and ideas. And I encourage anyone out there, to allow this film to challenge a little bit of your belief system, challenge a little bit of your ignorance, and challenge some of your apprehensions in regards to religion, or your misinterpretations, whatever it may be. This film really does a good job of allowing you as a person to just really take time and feel it, really experience it, and live it. So I really highly recommend people check this film out. I believe I guess it's having limited showings. Um, and guess what? Opening night, um, the film grossed over $10.1 million. Universal bought the rights to the film for $10 million. They just made their money back. Opening night. Um, I don't know how they're gonna do with the releasing of this film. If they're gonna keep doing limited releases throughout the country and internationally, but I can definitely see this film making back its money and some more. I don't know if there's gonna be a sequel. I don't think so, but with the way it ended, it's definitely possible for some kind of sequel if he wanted to kind of continue telling Humanu's story. It's definitely a possibility. This is just a really great film. I loved it. Maybe I might try to go see it again in the theaters. If not, I'm definitely going to be buying a hard copy of this film. So I really recommend everyone out there go out there, support this film. We're the we don't got a lot of films coming out for the next couple of years. Hollywood is on the decline, and if we can get a dozen more Dave Patels to come out and make a dozen more similar films like this, I'd say the movie theaters might have a chance. But I really encourage everyone to go out to see The Monkey Man. If you made it this far, then you clearly know how much I love this film and how much I could keep on talking about this film. And who knows, if I see it again, I probably might do another breakdown of this film, because I really enjoy this film a lot. Uh, I really do. For me, this is the best film of 2024. Uh, I can't give it enough praise, can't give it enough support. I love it. So I really recommend everyone out there go out there, check this film out, support it. Do some research on this religious sect as I presented to you guys, if you're interested. I think it's fabulous the way he incorporated the folklore, the politics, religion, culture, everything. He did a wonderful job. The cinematography is incredible. I hope he continues to work with this crew to do more films, because They clearly know how to do it, and on a budget. This film was made for $10 million. 10 million. When you watch it, you would not believe that it was made for $10 million. That's how damn good this film was. So I really hope that he continues to make films like this and continue to have an incredible growing career. Go out there, people. See this film, support it, enjoy it, talk about it, discuss it, reflect on it, and stay positive, stay focused, stay true. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ronin Review. If you made it this far, please make sure to hit that like button. Please make sure to leave a comment with your thoughts below. What did you think about the film? What are your thoughts? What do you think about the themes? Please. And make sure to share this out with any like minded viewers, anyone else who's curious or has seen the film. And yeah, man, just catch out for my next review. What do we got coming up? I got X-Men, the new X-Men 97. Got review for part 1, 2 and episodes 1, 2 and 3. That's going to be coming out. And I think I'm also going to be doing a review for Speed Racer, one of my most favorite films. Saw it recently again. Figured I'd do a review just to talk a little bit about it, why I love it. And that's what we got coming up soon at the moment. We also have a new single coming out at the end of the month. Keep an eye out for that. Lounge Ronin will be back next week. We got our topics together. So keep an eye out for those. And yeah, that's about it. So, and until next time, stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love.